welcome to the RDC, that is to say Redevelopment Commission meeting. If you could please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Can we do the roll call?
Mayor Bonta,
Here?
Commissioner Ambler,
Here.
Commissioner Joswiak,
Here.
Commissioner Lack is absent, Commissioner Munt,
Here.
Commissioner Vasquez.
Gets us to the approval of the minutes. Did everyone have a chance to take a look at the minutes? And is there any corrections or is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That gets us to the payment of the claims. Did everyone have a chance to take a look at the claims, and were there any questions?
I do have a couple questions. So for Structure Point, is this what we've already paid them and they're drawing from a payment?
I would defer to,
He just walked in, actually, because that's the timing today. Would you mind coming up to answer the question real quick? Sure. I am so sorry. You literally walked in as your expense was being discussed.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
That's fine. I'm wondering, we have 3 payments totaling $76,564 and some change. And so is that part of a previous payment? Like, how is that structured? Or is this for a new bill that you're sending us?
I believe it's for current invoices. We are active out there providing construction inspection services, not only for the bridge project, which has experienced some change orders due to the unsuitable soils, but also for the second construction project that involves the road improvements off each end of the bridge.
And for a... Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you're saying,
Well,
yeah, so this is part of the bridge project, if we simplify it to this, which the RDC already approved. So these are the expenses that come for this phase of it.
Yes, yeah, all the invoicing that we provide is part of approved contracts that you have already provided us that approval in that direction to proceed ahead with the work.
And is this going to be part of our lawsuit against them?
You mean the lawsuit about the, when the legal end comes in and we start looking at the issue with what went down with the soil and all that? So, yeah, the overall project, when we start looking about how we recoup losses, there's a part to that. This will be a part of that. I can't answer that directly. I'm not sure.
Well, I would say that the claims that we're looking at to be paid are for the Central Avenue from Brandy Street to Peach Street. So that's part of the Central Avenue reconstruction project, and that's the roads that Mr. Murphy was talking about. There's 2 of those are for the Brandy Street to Peach Street reconstruction. So that's what that billing is for. And I believe the third billing is Central over Willow Creek, which again I believe is a Central Avenue reconstruction project. To answer your question specifically, these bills, your litigation question is difficult to answer because I don't think, as I sit here, I could intelligently tell you at least 2 of these probably have nothing to do with the bridge, the soil problem whatsoever.
Because even if there hadn't been a soil problem, the bridge project would be going on, and so these bills would, at least 2 of them, as said, would exist already. But it's an RDC-approved project.
And whether or not the third Central Ave over Willow Creek is a number that needs to be reviewed, we'll take a look for that. But ultimately, I think this is a previously approved project that's within the previously approved budgeted amount, and this is just a normal claims process.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And just one note is that each one of those invoices are eligible for 80% reimbursement with federal dollars. So after you pay the invoice, there'll be a claim for reimbursement to NDOT for 80% of the cost of that invoice, so the city is only paying ultimately for 20% of those invoices.
We have to pay the 100% first to get to the 20. Yeah.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Correct. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. And it was great timing, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Are there other questions about the claims? Is there a motion?
Motion to accept the claims.
Second.
I'm not sure who was the second. You'll pick one? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We get to staff reports. Is it okay if I just merge that with old business and jump to you, Dan?
That would be fine. Under 7.1?
Yes.
Yes. So the home tax increment financing residential home development programs for Bauer and Sandy Farm. Quick update. There are a total of 6 potential residential home development programs that are being considered at this point. Bauer Farms and Sandy Trails by Lawton, River Trace by Altoff, including an unnamed proposed additional planned subdivision for a residential development. Carlson Farms by Providence and Swanson Trails by Lennar. Between myself and with the assistance of Leanne Van Kuren as a chief of staff and the mayor's office, and those meetings have included Mayor Bonta as well as Tom Cherry as the director of development and planning for the city. We have been meeting with each one of the developers to finalize their developments for the redevelopment housing development programs. I can tell you the Bauer Farms and Sandy Trails residential home development programs are ready, prepared to go. However, in conversations with the mayor, what we're intending to do is to treat everybody equally and on the same level, is put together a schedule that on July 24th at your next subsequent meeting, we will introduce the Bauer Farms, Sandy Trails, River Trace, Carlson Farms, Swanson Trails, and if available, the unnamed Altoff proposal at that time for the meeting, and we'll present those. We will have those for you. What is required by state statute is a 30-day notice in the paper for a public hearing. We have to provide the program, the residential housing development programs, to each of the, we have to provide it to the Portage Township assessor as the local assessing official. We also have to provide notice to neighborhood associations, which we've identified and will continue to identify just to make sure we have all those because they're throughout the community. We also have to identify impacted property owners and send notice to the superintendent as well as the board president for the Portage Township School Corporation. So there are a lot of notices that need to be provided. And then once the notice is in the paper and duly published on July 25th, that provides the 30 days for an August 28th public hearing and a consideration of a declaratory resolution. The declaratory resolution is for the purpose of establishing a redevelopment project area or an economic development area, which is required by statute. And then it goes through and I'm not going to go into detail of the rest of the process, it'll be part of the study session, but that declaratory must then go to the Plan Commission. Then the Plan Commission's finding and resolution goes to the city's Common Council, as the Plan Commission is an advisory commission to the city's Common Council as a designating legislative body. Once the council makes a decision, assuming it's in the affirmative, the Redevelopment Commission would then schedule a public hearing on the declaratory resolution, and at that point, a confirming resolution would be considered by the Redevelopment Commission. Assuming we get through that process, that would happen in November, and that would allow for each of the developers to initiate their process for going forward on their projects. We're in negotiations, finalizing the negotiations on using tax increment financing for the projects. Each project would be pledged 75% of their tax increment towards the project of utility improvements on the property. 25% would remain with the Redevelopment Commission. Those dollars would be used for projects in the allocation area or the economic development areas that have been designated. In addition to that, we're working very creatively to establish a tax increment revenue impact fee or imposed fee, what we call not a tariff, but a tariff, that would be paid subsequent to the approval of the confirmatory resolution, the February 1st after. And that would be the average of the 25%, an estimate of the average of the 25% coverage paid up front and in all subsequent years until such time that they are 80% built out. They would be, the Redevelopment Commission would pledge the 75% towards a economic development redevelopment bond, that revenue bond, that would be used by the developer to offset their costs. So it is a very creative financial method in order to have dollars come back to the Redevelopment Commission. Those dollars, tax increment revenues that are that are distributed to the city, to the Redevelopment Commission, would then be used under statute 36-7, I'm going to make sure I got it right, 1412.2 subsection A, subsection 28, got it off the top of my head. Those can be used for public safety, fire, police, ambulatory, operating, and capital expenditures. We would then be designating that 25% towards the city's fire throughout the entire district. So it's a lot to intake right now, but what we'll be doing is presenting at the next meeting all of the residential home development programs, which is consistent with statute. What I would ask you this evening is to allow for the Redevelopment Commission to schedule and notice a public hearing for August 28th on or before July 25th, which is 30 days' notice in the paper. And then we'll notify all the overlapping taxing units, the school board superintendent, the school board president, the impacted property owners, and any identified neighborhood associations. So that would be my request at this point to entertain that motion for the publication of a notice for August 28th on or before July 25th. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. I wanted to make sure I updated you because we've been working on this for a while and it's been complicated and complex, but it is very beneficial to not only the city's general funds, but also the Redevelopment Commission and working with the developers. And they've all been I will state, they've all been very good to work with. And we met with them all individually, if not once, twice. So
I will say that you said, Dan, that you were going to be brief. And I was like, this is such a hard thing to talk about. That was the briefest I think anybody could have been for something this complicated. So thank you so much.
you're welcome.
The school superintendent is behind you, Dr. Alanez. It's great to see you. I know that sometimes you might be watching these meetings online, so it's great to see you here. I know that we still have to get you the formal thing in the mail, so just being here doesn't count.
No.
We are getting meetings, a meeting scheduled, a big one with the school system ahead of time, so that any other remaining things that we need to figure out when it comes to this program are worked out. I had a very productive conversation, not yesterday, but Tuesday, with our trustee. It was really kind of a very meaningful thing. And so I know that part of this time also helps us make sure that our other community entity partners are aware of this, and we've got this framed and set up the best way we can for everybody. But we do have to do this motion to get that ball rolling.
Right. And additionally, I have had the projects for Sandy Trails as well as Bauer Farms. I have run the developments through an economic development analysis that has been reviewed by Buzz Crone of Crone Associates as the Commission's redevelopment, as the Redevelopment Commission Municipal Financial Advisor. He has agreed with the calculations, was very impressed, and so that is a good step forward. We can use now that economic development analysis on the remaining projects, which actually has already been done. I just need to prepare a technical review on that and then submit that to Cronin Associates once again for review. But we have made great strides moving forward. We want to make sure that this is done correctly. As any project that we do, we want to make sure it's accurate and consistent with the statute. Tom Pittman has looked at the scheduling and the statutory process that I prepared, and he has agreed with it. So we have all our ducks in line and we're getting everything ready. And that's when Mr. Pittman, Attorney Pittman had asked me to make sure that we appropriately schedule the public hearing for August 28th and ensure that the publication is in the paper by July 25th.
I have a question.
Yes.
What's the rationale for having to, for the necessity to notify local residents of the area of each of these developments?
It's the property owners. The statute states to notify the impacted property owners. Now, you can take that what it means. It doesn't state if there's a boundary. Typically with the Plan Commission, it will identify a 300-foot boundary or a determination of what impacted property owners are. In this case, and on a prior projects I have done, we have notified the property owners of the actual properties within the boundaries. In some instances, if you so choose, I will determine 300 feet from the center of the property and identify all properties that are within 300 feet of the boundary. I mean, or 200 feet, whatever you choose. But it doesn't state who impacted properties are, other than those within the boundaries.
Thank you.
And if I may ask a question,
Sure.
Mayor, would you prefer that was there a specific?
No, I
okay.
was misunderstanding.
Oh, okay, got you.
I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't misunderstanding something about the process that was
Right.
going to make residents of the area fuss about it,
Right,
you know?
okay,
And I didn't think it would,
no,
so that's why I wanted some clarification.
gotcha.
Excuse me, would
Yes.
you again repeat the locations of the 6 areas that are being considered?
I could do that if you need, and
Mayor
I'll leave
can
out,
do that.
yeah. So, there is Providence, which is, along Airport Road. Think the corner, it's not the exact corner, but think around the northeast corner of Airport Road where it meets, 700. So that general area where there's the field behind where the Target is going. River Trace, which is the neighborhood currently under construction, which is, what's the word I'm looking for? Off of Loot Road by the Menards. There is same company that's doing River Trace. They have a planned subdivision they want to do. I don't know if I'm able to give the location right now, but I can let you know as soon as I know if I can say it. That's not to be like mysterious or spooky. It's just, I think it's kind of a concept for them, so they wanted to bring it into the discussion when we met it with them. That's how this went from 5 to potentially 6. Then you have Bauer Farm. That is the one that is, I almost said it was by somebody's house. It's probably not good for the meeting recorded. It's off of 700, near where 700 meets Swanson Road. It's the new subdivision under construction over there. That's Bauer Farm. Also along Swanson Road, near that same spot, across the street from Brookview, is the field area. Think the northwest corner where Swanson meets 700. That's Swanson Trails. And that's the one where the city council worked to preserve a lot of the woods, but then they're still building in the area, where they can build, already. And then Sandy Trails is, best way I could describe it is behind Nikki's Euros. There's the big field out that way. That's Sandy Trails.
Correct.
I don't think I missed anybody.
The 6th is in
There's
Althoff.
there's the concept one that Olthoff is considering that I might be allowed to say it. I just don't want to risk it in case it's just a concept for them. But it'll be known by the time that it comes to the hearing because we can't approve a mystery TIF.
Do you have any idea of the total amount of homes that would be built?
So
Just
the-
an idea,
yeah.
ballpark figure?
I'm not sure the exact figure, but it is important to note that these are all pieces of land that are already zoned for the type of homes that are coming there. And I say that because the neighborhoods, they're aiming to build the neighborhoods. These were already planned, and it's already land that's zoned for the homes to come. What a residential TIF district does is it creates a district over those neighborhoods as they come in so that the assessed value is captured just for the district. Tom Cherry, I don't know if you'd be able to give us an estimate on the number of homes that might be included in these 5?
They gave us all the figures. I have not summed them all up individually. I can do that and forward that to the commission if you'd like. I can get that for you reasonably quick. Yeah.
Thank you.
But they did provide us the information of the total number of units. They provided us the information by type of unit, and I'm just throwing out examples, whether it is a single-family home, townhome, villa, duplex. So they've provided it by land use type, and they also provided it by average cost of land and average cost of the type of development.
And those numbers will matter because that's also how we calculate the estimated assessed value of the neighborhoods, and also then from there, the estimated revenue that'll generate, which is important both for what the bond would be, and then also for how much revenue these are going to generate over time.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'll get that for you.
Appreciate.
And so you're looking for a motion to provide notice, public notice
Yes.
for August 28th public
Meeting
hearing?
on or before July 25th.
So
Yes.
moved.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Thank you. That gets us to Mr. Dave Uran for discussion on game solutions update. How are you?
Doing good, staying cool on this warm day. Just here for a brief update, not much going on. We spent the last 30 days meeting with staff, especially the Parks Department, where Kelly and her team, working with Andy from the Parks Board and with the mayor's team, just to discuss this project you guys are going to be embarking on. Just understand the landing places, because at the end of the day, when you guys making a big investment, especially when it comes to parks and recreational type activities, when it's all said and done, the home team here is going to be able to pick it up and continue to resource it and make sure that your investment is well done. So over the last 30 days, we spent a lot of time just understanding finances, how the Parks Department here works. Most municipalities are the same, but it's a little nuances, a little bit different, where their landing places are based on budget, park impact fee, if there is one, if there is one expired, if there's a non-reverting fund, all those different nuances that have something once you guys make your capital investment, how to maintain it, how to have revenues and where it lands, and then making sure that you guys are being well represented. So up to this point, until I believe the engineering firm finalizes their contract with you guys here, we're going to be kind of at a standstill on moving forward the project. We're still going to be working with the mayor's office and the team on their vision for this property, to make sure that when the ideas and plans get put out there, that we're hitting all the dotting the i's, crossing the t's, getting the highest and best use of this property, and getting the most in return, what's currently inventory, what's needed for the city, and what's more desirable for everybody else. So that's pretty much where we're at, but we'll continue to come back here every 30 days and keep making sure we have progress.
I know I had asked about meeting with the schools. You said you haven't done that at this point?
No, I have not. We're kind of on standstill until we understand the project itself. There's no reason to get everybody's hopes up so you don't deliver. So we're going to under-deliver but overpromise, or not overpromise, but brings things back so everybody's on the same page. So yeah, as soon as we get a little bit more idea coming through the mayor's direction, the redevelopment's direction here, and working with the local design team, we'll begin those conversations.
Right now, the main thing, which ties in, because they're very related, is securing the land. And we're in discussions right now to get the land secured. And really, it's a lot easier to promise things when you own the land. And
100%.
so I believe we're moving very quickly on that. But it's just to say that it's a good time to be kind of talking, concepts, looking at details. But ultimately, the land is what allows us to get very real with it.
So we'll continue to be here every 30 days. Maybe, hey, nothing to report, or we're hoping each time that we're going to take up as much as Dan puts on up here, and we can have just as much time to report back. So, but it's going to be good stuff coming forward. So, any questions? Mayor,
Thank you so much.
Council members, thank you. Commission members, thanks.
Thank you. That gets to Mr. Tom Cherry for consideration Circle R mechanical backflow vessel replacement at 6100 Southport Road.
This is exciting, the exciting stuff, backflow preventers.
I said to myself, man, am I glad I'm not a landlord? and then I become mayor and find out I'm a landlord.
That's right, yep. I didn't think I'd be managing for you either.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you you were going to be a property manager when you took your job either.
So we had Circle R in to do the yearly backflow testing, which is required by law. We have 2 backflows over there at 6100 Southport, determined that one was faulty. And this is just, this is below the threshold for a normal maintenance item, which I can just move forward with, but out of courtesy, we didn't need to do it immediately. So I'm informing the board that to replace the one backflow that we need to replace, it's $1,400, and then they'll test that new backflow and we'll be compliant with law. So just asking for the approval for the replacement.
Motion to approve $1,400 for the replacement of the backflow vessel.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That gets us to Kelly Smith, consideration request for funds from the grant/gift fund. Hey,
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. There was a packet that was sent, hopefully you all received. Kind of itemize them, and if you'd like, I can go through each one, if that's what's preferred.
I think that might be good, just for
Perfect.
the record
Okay.
for the meeting. Thanks.
Yep, great. The first item was Frank Gilbert Park. As you can see in the quote, it does need some love. So we were looking at getting a commercial power wash, kind of sandblast, and a fresh coat of paint on that really would be a huge improvement there. In the quote, they also threw in the benches and the trash cans. Or was it? No, sorry, not the benches, the cans at no charge. So the next item was leaps at IG East. There was some damage to the bathroom, so that quote is also attached. The next item would be mowers. I know that the commission is aware we've doubled our mowing this year. Parks have taken back maintaining our parks, so we went from 50 acres to 100. Our current mowers are 2017s. I think that really just to keep our parks looking good, and we want to keep them looking their best. So the equipment would definitely be a gift. The next few items that I have listed, as I know it's really hot out, but I'm always thinking ahead, are both winter items. Last year, we had a lien on the street department to do our salting at our parks, which does 2 things. It takes away from the community that needs them on their roads, and number 2, it doesn't make our park self-sustainable. So our previous salt spreader was beyond repair, and we're definitely in need of that, so I'm looking ahead to the winter months. Also, we were looking at a V-plow for our Kubota, which we use at the markets. Sometimes it helps with the trash. It's a little like ATV. We thought that would be really useful at open air, pending, with the new ice rink coming, to be able to make sure that those large sidewalks are clear. It would be great for Founders, Woodland, Gilbert. So clearing those would make that a breeze for the amount of property that we have to cover. And then finally is open air pavilion. I've been up there. Our staff, as you know, we're pretty short. We're pretty lean. I'll call it that. The floor really needs some love as well. And with the ice rink coming, I think it would be nice to get a good pressure wash on that. I believe the ribbon cutting was a 19. I would say that we could do it, but it would take us quite a bit of time when we can get a reasonable quote. The quote here is $1,300. The second quote we had was at $2,200. I do have another quote coming Monday. I just figured if we did not to exceed the $1,300 on that quote alone, but looking between the price of the two, I think that it's a good price. Also, rigs, the Hustler mowers are preferred mowers. Even in my previous position as Public Works, we always use the Hustlers. They're very a very good brand. I know that Allen's uses them, Mystic, a lot of other landscaping businesses around here. So the supplier, which is Riggs, is a preferred vendor. It's not like you can really go shop around at multiple places for that, but I did get multiple quotes for the service for open air. So I just didn't include each one in your packet. And then I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
So you're not asking for additional funds, you're asking to
Right.
use the funds we've already given you?
Correct. We're so thankful that the RDC does give us that gift grant fund every year of $75,000. And just trying to put this before you so that you know where the funds are going and what the request is.
Absolutely. Thank you for that
Thank you.
clarification.
Yes, of course, thank you.
I have one question.
Sure.
Did you get another estimate for painting for the Banneker? Is that how you said that, Banneker? That just seems like a
Right.
lot for painting.
Tom, did you
I was
wanna-
wondering if there were, a couple of.
For the Frank Gilbert Park, so Leanne Van Kuren, our chief of staff, had reached out to a prominent, I don't know, Randy Palmatier, can I say that? The trades.
You can say we
Thank
can say the
you.
building and trades.
The
Yeah.
building trades, and looked for a very reputable company, and we looked at the pricing, and they thought it was very fair.
It's not just painting, it's reconditioning the bare metal, treating that, sanding it. It's a lot more than just painting.
Yeah, being familiar with, both the building and trades and, the recommendation that comes, there's a quality element to it as well.
My second
thank you.
question is, I don't know what Leaf Supply is. What vandalism? Where is
So-
that? What is that?
So Leap Supply is our vendor for our toilets, sinks, urinals, all of our plumbing. Terry Ellis, my lead man, we don't often compare and shop. Leaps is our premier, or our preferred vendor. Thank you. Thank you. I'll take the help I can get.
There's a bathroom, and do you mind if I say the park?
Would you please? Thank you,
Yeah,
Mayor.
it's not Hannah's Hope, it's Imagination Glen, over by the soccer field. There's one in some very bad shape, and
Okay,
we want to try to get that fixed up really
Okay.
well. Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I can say that we had people from the Lake County Tourism Group here today, not because they got lost, but because there's like a joint Porter and Lake County project going on, and we did something at Founders Square, and they absolutely loved it. They said this looks great, and we've just been getting a lot of compliments from the park. So given that this is the gift fund already approved, I think it's very appropriate to be enhancing the parks with the funds they already have. And I appreciate that you're telling us what you're doing with the money.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it, for sure.
I will make a motion to approve $45,944.23 for the 6 items listed here for the RDC grant funding.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
That gets us to Mr. Cherry again. Consideration opening of bids for the Garrison School demolition.
So for this year's budget, we put some money aside for the potential demolition of Garrison School. So we reached out and got a few bids, put out an RFP to see if it could be within our budget. I've got some sealed bids that I'm going to open. Bear with me, this is usually Sandy that does this.
Do you have a letter opener, Tom, or
I
is your,
do,
okay, you're not, I
yes.
want to make sure your hands are not in danger.
No, I do. This one's really taped up.
As it should be.
Thank you, C. Lee, for all the tape. So this bid is from C. Lee.
Could you, spell that for
Construction
us?
Service out of Gary.
Could you
What's-
spell that for us real quick? Sorry. is that-
C. dot, or period, Lee, Construction Services, L-E-E.
Thanks. I almost spelled it like Seaberg, my grandma's maiden name.
And this one is for $587,000. Number 2 is from Green Demo Recycling. This one's got less tape. Thank you, Green. Let me find the... Boy, they hid the price page. Hang on a sec.
We'll call Sandy up if you need help.
Yeah. Wow. That's the bad part of not being able to open these prior. That was first, and then this was first.
Please let the record reflect that Attorney McClure assisted with the...
Got it? Okay. Thank you, sir. Can bill me separately for that?
Those are complicated.
Yeah.
If they're put together the right way, that's the first page.
Right. Correct. Okay, the bid for this one is $828,800.
Can you repeat that amount?
$828,800.
Thank you.
Welcome. And the third one. Okay.
We'll have you on standby, Attorney McClure.
No, they actually put a red tab in there. That was very nice of them. This one is for $777,970.
I'm sorry, what was the company?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is GE Marshall Incorporated. And again, that was $777,970. So staff would ask that we have time to review all three of these proposals or bids to make sure everything was included. So we'd like to take this under advisement at this point.
I don't necessarily know if there'd be questions at this time. I mean, it's available. I think it's best, though, to take the recommendation and take these under advisement.
Yep. And we'll report to the commission once with all our findings. So, do we need a motion, Scott?
It's just a motion for staff to take under advisement and to review the bid document to ensure compliance and come back with a report to the board.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Gets us to Sandy McDaniel, consideration change order number 1, 2025 RDC street paving and repair project and payment number 1.
Good afternoon. What I have for you today is change order number 1, like the mayor said, for your street paving project. It is an increase in the total amount of $125,918.06. The purpose for the majority of the change order was an increase to Southport Road. When we milled the 2 inches off of Southport Road, we found the base. There was no binder underneath it, so to basically construct it back and give it enough thickness of asphalt, we put down 1 inch of wedge, and then we put the 2 inches of surface on top of it. So that was actually increased to the project of $45,000. The rest, we added a street. Some of our line items went over, but the total increase was $125,918.06.
I imagine that when they made Southport, they weren't necessarily thinking that we'd be repaving it as soon as we ended up repaving it to discover
I think in
this.
the past, it's just been overlaid, but yeah, we were surprised that we only took 2 inches off and we had stone coming up through.
Are there any questions or a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And then that gets us to Mr. Cherry again. Consideration Americo Inc. proposal for item request for additional monitoring at 6071 Central Ave.
There's
Or is-
actually a second part to
Oh,
mine. Apologize.
I'm sorry.
It is actually approval of the pay application number 1 for the same project.
I apologize.
That's okay, it's on the same line.
Gotcha.
So the first pay app is in the amount
Well,
of
it's the and. I gotcha. Sorry.
is in the amount of $1,086,555.82. The department would recommend, of course, $1,086,555.82. And the department would recommend approval of pay application number 1.
Motion to pay the amount of $1,860,555.82 for payment number 1.
I don't know if you got that number right. 1,086,000, I think you said 860.
They would be really excited to get the 800,000, but
Extra, yeah.
that actually is kind of a relief, though, because I was going to vote yes until she corrected me, too, so, no.
Let me amend that to make a motion to approve the payment number 1 for $1,086,552.82.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Oh, are we still,
No, it's 55.
maybe if I look to,
It's 55. How about we approve it just according to what the the pay app says? We have the paperwork, that's what the check's gonna get cut
I'm not
from.
sure, I thought, what was something?
I think it was 552, I think you said 552, and it's $555. Perfect.
Now, do we have a second? Just in case? Yeah.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Now we get to Mr. Cherry for consideration, Americo Inc. proposal for item request for additional monitoring at 6071 Central Avenue.
So this is for the project across the street. We've started the remediation process actually for probably 6 months minimum. IDEM is looking for a couple more monitors, wells to monitor. This will not add to the closure schedule. It would run in conjunction with the wells that they're monitoring right now. But they are asking for 2 more to be put in to monitor, so along with this project. So contractually, we're obligated to get this remediated and the closure letter from IDEM. So attached, you should have the Americo quote, and this is in line with their prior wells that they have already installed. So this is just the addition of 2 more, as well as the quarterly monitoring along with that. So staff would recommend approval so that they can get going on this, so.
Is there a general amount or just,
It's on page 2. It's a fee schedule. Yeah, it's all three. I apologize, I didn't total that for you. We do some dirty math, as Austin says.
Dan likes that term too.
Yeah, I love that term, dirty math. It's better than using the term manipulate the numbers.
Or much better.
It's a quick example.
So if my math is correct, I'm at $17,810.
Cannot wait to read the newspaper article about this meeting between
is
the
20.
tape and the number.
It is 20. Yes, I carried the one wrong. Austin, I think you need we need some math lessons here in City Hall, so.
Bring a chalkboard next time, and I'll have it up here. We'll do it in front of everybody.
So
right?
$17,820 for the additional monitoring.
I'm telling you guys, this is the most fun redevelopment commission in Northwest Indiana. Try watching some of those other meetings. I really challenge you. We have a great time here.
I make a motion to approve the funding for, is it the 3 wells? For the fees?
2 wells.
2
Yep,
wells.
2 additional wells.
For $17,820.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll be on a record, I'm not running for clerk treasurer ever, so.
So that gets us back to Mr. Bowditch for consideration, approval of invoices for the 2025 Redevelopment Commission insurance policy renewals.
There have been submitted by Samuelson Insurance Agency a number of insurance renewal policies that are either required by state statute or are necessary to cover our insurance liability in the event something should happen. The first is dated June 6th, 2025, Samuelson Insurance. It is the renewal of policy number 72LPS 049516. I've just passed my Indiana state eye test right there. For the policy fees, taxes, and liability for vacant building, is my understanding that is for the Garrington building. The second is the Samuelson Insurance dated June 19th, 2025. Renewal on policy number 0934685, the commercial package renewal 2025. I believe that is for the site location at the NERC site. Anybody correct me if I'm wrong. And renewal and that a third dated June 19th, 2025. Renewal policy number 530-282-0400. It is the commercial umbrella renewal for 2025 in the amount of $1,818. The prior one, I did not give you an amount, is $47,707. And that is for our insurance coverage. I've reviewed them and I make a recommendation for approval.
I make a motion to approve all 3 of those.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That gets us to 8.7, consideration approval of resolution number 2506.
I will introduce this and give you a brief overview. If there's anything to include or supplement my comments, I would defer to local attorney Scott McClure. This is the bond resolution that was prepared by bond counsel Tom Pittman of Barnes & Thornburg. It is a bond amount of the City of Portage, Indiana Redevelopment District Series 2025 bond in the amount not to exceed $10 million. The purpose of the bond, which we talked about last month, is capital improvement costs associated with the extension of the Burns Parkway on the north side, which the extension would be from the current terminus point south of the waterway and then north to State Route 12. It includes not only the right-of-way improvements, utilities under the right-of-way, as well as the bridge over the Burns waterway. This actually would initiate the process and initiate the formal process to procure the bond and the process for the bond approval, and as well as preparation of a preliminary official statement and other documents necessary for the bond to be issued through bond counsel and a municipal financial advisor. If I missed anything, Attorney Leclerc? You did not. Okay.
And I believe we've advertised for the public hearing. I can open that, but what I would ask our attorney is it like the Plan Commission? I have to ask like 3 times for people to come? So what? Do the for and against sections, or? Yes. Okay. So what I will do, and before I open, I'll just elaborate a little more, because I think everybody here on the board is familiar with this, project. We've been spending time in the previous year acquiring the land north of Burns Waterway, and that's the ability to, if you remember, I sent you the documentary video too, when but all said and done, this is the ability for us to bond to be able to build the bridge. Now, this has a number that goes up to 10 million, because that's within, and we can explain when we get to that part, the cost. But this also allows us to work with other entities to get additional funding. But in order to work to get additional funding through other partners, you have to have skin in the game as well. And so I also see this, well, I'll get to that at the end, but I will open the public hearing, and I'll ask 3 times both ways. Is there anyone here to speak for this proposal? Is there anyone here to speak for this proposal? Is there anyone here to speak for this proposal? Is there anyone here to speak against this proposal? Is there anyone here to speak against this proposal? Is there anyone here to speak against this proposal? I thought you were getting up, Mr. Hannon. I was ready for you. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. And what I will say is that part of having skin in the game is the financial mechanism, to have that skin. And so for us to be also able to partner with other, possible entities on this project, this is a beginning step for us.
Right. And it also, if I may, Mayor, Commission President, it also allows for the bridge to be start construction. That part would be able to be constructed.
Absolutely.
In addition, I did speak with the bond counsel, communicate and speak with bond counsel, as well as the municipal financial advisor on the bonds. The municipal financial advisor will be preparing a tax impact analysis to show the impact to the tax rate, because this is a bond that is applied, that would be applicable to the entire Portage redevelopment district, contiguous with the city corporate limits. And in addition to that tax rate impact, they will also be preparing, because we get this question often, is what would be the impact to my taxes? So we're looking at a $250,000 home, I think a $400,000 home, and a $600,000 home. Don't hold me to that, but there are 3 categories. So we're trying to, answer people's questions, if there are questions that the mayor may have, the commission members, or that may be brought before the commission at subsequent meetings.
And then this also goes to the city council as well?
Yes.
Once that's prepared?
Yes.
Okay. That would be a later meeting as well, once we get some of the other, together?
Correct.
Okay. That gets us to 8.8, consideration approval of resolution number 25-07.
That motion was approved, correct? You didn't
Oh,
have a
shoot, I'm
motion to
sorry.
approve
I was trying to
06.
slide it through. My bad. See how fun these meetings are? I'm sorry. Are there other questions or other, or is there a motion? Because we do need to have it passed as a motion.
Motion to approve. And that's motion to approve resolution 2506?
Correct.
I'm sorry, I actually have a question. Approving this motion is not approving us taking out a bond for 10 million,
All right,
correct or no?
let's get a second and then discussion.
Sure. So do we have a second? Second doesn't mean it gets voted on, because we go to discussion after that.
Second.
Okay, and then we have discussion. The question was, how much could this end up costing with the bond?
In addition to the bond, for the entire project, or just the bond itself? So this $10 million is to supplement the entire cost in excess of potentially $18 to $24 million. It's still dependent upon the final design of the extension and improvements that would be in place for the city, for the Redevelopment Commission to implement the construction of the bridge, which is really the first step, and to extend the Burns Parkway up to 12. The $10 million will go a substantial way in order for that to occur. We're also in negotiations and discussions with other funding entities, whether that be on a regional level, state level, or federal level, in order to supplement the dollars. One of the questions we've been asked is how many dollars or what funds have we set aside? So this provides that answer to, we've approved the use of a bond up to $10 million to subsidize this project. So it puts the skin in the game for us,
And
for
Dan,
the
if-
city's redevelopment commission.
If you don't mind me using my, it might be a risky, I don't know, comparison, because we try to be a family-friendly, crowd, but I use the example with the bridge because with us purchasing the land north of the waterway and setting up to be able to extend Burns Parkway from where it currently stops near the NERC building and curves to building the bridge and having the road go up to Stagecoach and then ultimately up to Hillcrest, creating an intersection at the spot where you enter Ogden Dunes, that is a much higher cost, project. We're not going to be able to deliver all that without either help or other partners in development that happens that way. The bridge is the first step, and the example I used as we've worked and talked with other entities about the project, because everybody sees the vision and the benefit that comes from it, but the thing that we've realized is the bridge is the biggest concern that people have from a cost standpoint and from getting the project started. I used the example, I mentioned the family-friendly part. If I were to go to somebody and say I was opening a bar and I was looking for an investor in the bar, they might ask me, do you have a liquor license? And if I said, no, I'm looking for your investment so I can go and acquire a liquor license, they're going to probably be a lot less eager to invest in this bar. They're probably hoping that other aspects are what I'm looking for the money for. There was a point where we were pursuing grants and funding opportunities, this was last year, that might have been able to build the bridge or give us a head start on the bridge. But what we found is the bridge is kind of the liquor license in this story. It's the thing where showing our commitment to building the bridge is what we need to have skin in the game to be able to get other partners on board. If that makes sense, Dan? Or
Yes.
is that,
In
yeah.
addition to that, the intent and the ability to fund the extension of the road and the bridge now would be a very important development criteria for developers to know that there would be future access to the property.
The goal for us, and I think it's a very achievable goal, with the bridge, is that all the land that we spent time last year purchasing to unite them into one property up there, it's now much more developable and sellable in a way that the RDC then turns around and sells the land when developers know that they can get to it.
Right.
And accessing this property, it really has to
Right.
come from the south, because
Right.
being able to get a developer interested in coming from the north off of Stagecoach is going to be much more difficult, whereas having the bridge get there to connect, it opens up the whole piece of land for development.
And it allows, and I don't mean to beleaguer the point anymore, but I think it's important that you understand the dominoes that all play in this, is any development that occurs south of the Burns waterway for light industrial or warehouse manufacturing that occurs, that can all be done at the same time. So that any improvements that occur within the next 2 to 3 year period as a result of those negotiations and agreements, this road will be extended at the same time, so that it's, all the construction is, we're trying to get it all done at one time, instead of having the south side of the waterway done, and then bringing all new trucks to do the rest of the bridge and the rest of the extension, do it at one time. So all the construction is done at one time. And I'm sure that all the laborers and the skilled workers and everybody else who would be out there would enjoy spending, a year and a half to 2 years in one spot, as opposed to knocking it all down, coming back, and then 6 months later to build a bridge.
And
take
not
it
to
all
mention
out,
the-
put it back in to extend the road.
And also construction of things like the North Interceptor, which is running
Yes.
through a piece of the land and ties into the road very well. I'd also asked Mr. Bowditch, I want to be careful, but at one point, you had an estimate for the return on investment on this overall Hillcrest area once we're able to get the road through. Is that something we can talk about as far as what we see
Sure,
as the,
so
the economic return on investment for?
there was a concept prepared by Short Elliott Hendrickson, SEH, who was designing the bridge on the north side development area, or what we've coined as Hillcrest. I keep saying Hillside. It's
Hillcrest, yeah.
Hillcrest. I keep saying Hillside.
Oh, no worries,
I
yeah.
think Hillside, Illinois for some reason. But it's Hillcrest, because that is where we're intending to match up with Ogden Dunes in the alignment. The estimate based upon their concept was an estimate of an investment of anywhere from $450 million to $600 million.
And this is where a lot of people in Portage, last year, I'm sorry if I'm telling too many stories, but when I went out to where our water, flows into the, I still call it Little Cal, I know it's not exactly a river, but it's the Burns Waterway, there were so many people when I put that picture up, they're like, is that Portage? Like, where are you? And I don't know if this will happen again, but I know the mayor of Whiting really likes it when I make this comparison. You can fit the city of Whiting inside the undeveloped contiguous land that the Redevelopment Commission owns. So that's why the return on investment to our economy is so high. It's just that there's, up to this point, never been a way or a united front to actually get the road to go through, because it's a huge piece of developable land. It's a great location between the train, with the waterway, with 94. The only thing it doesn't have is an airport. Maybe we can get
Pretty
a
much.
helicopter in there. But
Pretty much.
the reason that somewhere along the way we got really stuck on the name Hillcrest is because of course, the sand dunes, including the really big one in there, but also the ability to connect it to the entrance to Ogden Dunes, which is Hillcrest Road, and then actually potentially bring the whole road in under Hillcrest, and that would be the name of this community that we're building there. But to put it really simply, this is not Austin Bonta's big, grand, original idea. This has been a concept that's been talked about, and I think you'd agree, Ralph, for years. And different entities have kind of tried to take it on. They've taken a look at it, everything from the RDA. I know there was a sports complex that we'd rather not talk about, but all said and done, I think that this being an area that develops for commercial and residential into a really strong, corridor of the city, I actually think that's a lot stronger than just one, development in there. But we finally have something through the RDC capable of getting the project going.
Right. Keeping in mind that it's next to the Dunes National Park, which, including potential for accommodations development, would bring individuals to stay in Northwest Indiana, number one. Number two, use and utilize the national park, but also entice individuals to stay at those accommodations for anywhere from 2 to 5 days and use our downtown. So it becomes an economic generator for, but we first have to open the land and make it available. Without a road and a bridge, we have nothing. We have hundreds of acres of land that will remain that way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So now that Sneaky Mayor Bonta has, been noticed that we needed a motion and a second, is there any other discussion? I can call the roll. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I think we're good.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Mayor.
And then that gets us now to approval for resolution number 25-07.
Resolution 25-07 is a resolution of the Portage Redevelopment Commission requesting authorization from the Common Council to acquire real property by eminent domain for the Burns Parkway project. The purpose of this resolution is the bridge as designed and designed with the overview and the, how do I put this? I want to make sure I use the correct language. With the overview and in working in conjunction with NIPSCO, because it has to be in alignment with the appropriate easement to go over the NIPSCO easement for the utility towers that are located there. In addition to natural dunes that are on the property, and to be sensitive to that. There is a property, parcel number 640502-200-001, period 000-016, located at 1533 Marine Drive. It is 40.68 acres. It is currently owned by the Mary Ewing Living Trust. according to county records. A total of the 40.68 acres is the entire property. Because of the meandering and the direction from southwest to northeast of the waterway, this property comes to a point, a triangular point on the northeast side. The intent of this resolution and request is to acquire 2.6 acre portion of the subject property for the construction and overpass of the bridge over the Burns waterway. All but approximately 600 plus square feet of the subject property are located within the regulated drainage easement for the city of Portage. So it is a small parcel of it is a small portion of the entire parcel. However, of that, 6,000 square feet of the property are located within the drainage easement, which means it's unusable. That part is unusable also. So we really need this portion of the property. We've, as the Redevelopment Commission representatives, we've reached out to the ownership of the property, and it's come to a point where it is a public purpose that it is necessary to acquire the property for the bridge to be aligned in the appropriate manner so that it can make the connection with the easement that NIPSCO has approved already so that we can get to that point. If not, we're going to have to redesign the bridge, and it's going to cost quite a bit more money. And then Burns Parkway as it exists today off of 249 would have to be redesigned from the entrance or the left from to enter the NERC area and the Construction Advancement Foundation area. So this would allow, this portion of the property would allow for the bridge to skirt the 40.68 acres, but take as minimal property as possible and use that for the overpass. And if I can defer to Attorney McClure to fill in.
Yep. My only comments would be to make sure that it's crystal clear that this resolution that is requesting the authority from the city council is not requesting the ability to condemn the 40.68 or eminent domain, the 40.68 acres. To be very clear, there's a 2.6 acre portion of the 40 plus acres that we are in need of eminent domain for a public purpose. However, of that 2.6 acres, only 6,000 feet of that 2.6 acres is not already in a regulated drainage easement under the control and supervision of the city of Portage that wouldn't allow things to be, residents would not be allowed to be constructed, let's say, in this area because we're in a floodplain. So I just want to make sure this board, the newspaper, is crystal clear that this has actually been thought about at a great deal. This is the absolute smallest intrusion that can be requested. And if this isn't utilized, the other options are not as good and is significantly more expensive.
I think, well, just to kind of add on that, I would just say that, because I know the question, or I know that NIPSCO was mentioned, what it is that there is a key area, if you know where the NIPSCO power lines are, there's one from a road construction perspective, narrow area where we're allowed to build a road through. We're allowed to build the road through there, we know that already. And then southwest of that, we have where Burns Parkway comes to a stop where, in order for it to be the extension of Burns Parkway and to use land that we own and have control over, I mean, all said and done, that's the spot where the bridge would be. And so in order to have the design where you get from the bridge to the part through the NIPSCO easement where we're allowed to go through, is easement the right word? That's the reason why this area has been identified. I know it's worded, with bigger numbers, but it's the 6,000 feet. Yeah.
So, and just to bring us back, the point of this resolution is this board officially asking the city council for that authority. That's what the statute requires. So this isn't this board's decision tonight that this is going on. This is the request to garner the authority to do it if we were to move forward.
Is it appropriate or not for me to ask why the landowner is unwilling to sell us that portion?
They have no appetite for sale, is the best way to put it. And my understanding is that's not necessarily, it's obviously the city of Portage, but I'm not sure that doesn't apply to any other potential buyers.
But we have reached out to them, asking them if they want to sell, and it's a no, they don't. So we're just going to take it.
Correct. That's eminent domain.
And then there is, when eminent domain occurs, they do get paid for the land.
There's multiple appraisals, there's full compensation for the actual taking.
And it must be for a public purpose, which the bridge is a public purpose.
It's a bridge and a road, yeah, so it's really.
And to be
yeah.
clear, the process has been attempted with the property owner before the official process will begin. So if this board approves this and the city council does deem this board to have that authority, this board starts down the eminent domain road, it will still be an appraisal and a talking with the property owner before litigation. So there's going to be appraisal, there's the opportunity for the property owner to meet with the appraisal people. There'll be an opportunity, once that appraisal comes out and there's an offer to purchase, that gets communicated to the property owner. There's a timing that I believe it's 30 to 45 days from the receipt of that offer before any condemnation action could begin. So at this point, not completely in the eminent domain track, yes, there has been more than one attempt at attempting to work this out in a different manner. But I don't want you to think that we are 10 days away from an eminent domain lawsuit. We are not. This would begin the official process, which starts with not litigation. It starts with appraisals and letters and communication.
And there's opportunity for that to be worked out between, if the city council approves, and then where the property owner is happy with it.
If we begin the process, and I say the process because it's not the beginning of litigation, but if we begin the process at any point in time before litigation is filed, the parties can come to an agreement, and even after litigation is filed, the parties can come to an agreement. So this isn't locking us into a judicial decision or bust.
And as noted, the main piece of it is already a city easement that we have.
Correct.
So.
It is unbuildable, but for a city function like a public purpose like a bridge.
Has the landowner expressed any, do they want more money, or they just?
They don't want to sell. I'm not sure there's more than their own personal circumstances and their feeling of the property, which is very admirable. I mean, I don't want to paint the picture that they have been uncooperative or unwilling to talk. It's just it's their personal issue. And I don't want to make light of that in any way, but I know what you're asking. Is there another issue hanging out there? And to the best of my knowledge, I don't believe it is. I believe they just don't want to sell their property.
And all said and done, for us to be able to do this project, it's tough because we've looked at different designs, we've looked at different areas, we've looked at ways, but is it, when we say 6,000 feet, do we mean 6,000 square feet? It comes down to 6,000 square feet in order to make this project work in the most minimally evasive way. I mean, and all said and done, we're talking about a bridge, and we're talking about something that is already primarily on an easement, and that is unusable because it's in a floodplain except for a road. So that is to say, there's nothing else that can be built there currently.
Correct.
On that 6,000 square feet,
Right.
except a road.
Well, of the 6,000 square feet, there's 6,000 square feet within 2.5 acres is probably buildable.
Sure. Okay, I got you.
But of the 2.5 acres, the 2.6 acres, we have a drainage easement over the top of. Well, all but 6,000 feet of 2.6 acres. There are 6,000 feet outside the drainage easement. So I can't speak as to whether
To the other part, but
it's actually physically buildable. That may in fact be, that 6,000 square feet may in fact meet the definition of buildable, if desired.
that I think that this is absolutely a valuable project for the city. I know that we've been working in good faith and will continue to on here. Ultimately, this is going to be a city council decision, but I feel if the RDC is committed to this project, I think we at least have to ask the city council to review. And I would say that between this point and when it comes to the city council, we can provide additional information, because I understand the questions that, have been asked. There are some answers, but I feel like it would be good to get that presented, a different way to show what's happened already and to show what we can do and, where that comes, because ultimately this will be a city council decision. But I think that we need to start here by requesting that of the city council.
And I'll just, it's been touched, but and I don't want to belabor it, but it is a very tough decision, but you are, the potential in this development is difficult to put into words. I think the Whiting example is powerful. It is a large canvas that would be able to be developed for this city. So while I don't envy the decision to be made, I do think in this particular circumstance, at least we're not using eminent domain to get another 2 feet on a bridge impact, but this would actually open up a great deal to the city and at the absolute minimum impact possible to the current fee simple property owner.
And it is a piece of, is it fair to say it's a piece of farmland, would we say?
And all the overheads I've seen, I believe it's all farm field. Correct. Except for the easement
Except
portion.
for the easement portion, it's all farm field that
Yeah.
is the piece. And going to the east of it is also farm field currently, but that's farm field that the RDC owns that we allow to be farmed while it's not developed yet.
Yeah, I don't think we are, I don't want to say too many feet, but we're not close to a residential house here. I mean, we are thousands of feet away from a residential house at this point.
I'm not sure the exact distance, but yeah, this
We
is
could be a
not,
mile.
this is not close to someone's home, and it does not, in my opinion, knowing the land, it doesn't diminish the farm at all. Really.
And yeah, this isn't their primary homestead. It may be part of their primary homestead, but this isn't close to the primary residence.
I think that was very helpful to know that it wasn't like someone's front yard
No,
that we're
it is
trying
not.
to take.
No, it is not.
There's no residence within.
How many attempts have you made?
So there's a history when it comes to this, because when the sport resort idea, which I'm trying not to talk about, because people talk about that as if it was like a symbol of like Portage having a crazy idea that didn't work out, and in many ways it was, There have been just different things that have happened with the land over the years, and as noted, this request to the city council between now and when it goes to a city council meeting, this request doesn't stop us from continuing to work with the property owner to find something that we all agree with. But it would not be right to ask the city council to approve up to $10 million in a bond if a project is going to be stopped by 6,000 square feet. I understand that there could be information that the council might want to know between us voting on this request and when the city council votes on it. But it is to say, us requesting this, and even the city council approving the request, it doesn't stop the ability for us to work out something agreeable. But it's just, in my opinion, not a responsible thing to ask the council to approve a up to $10 million project and leave out the fact that 6,000 feet could stop it. So I think that that's why these two things go hand in hand, and why I think that they should be voted on at the same city council meeting when it comes. which also gives us time to explain some of the answers to questions we want to be polite about.
I was just wondering how many attempts have been made with this property owner?
I couldn't give you an exact number, but there's been ongoing conversation.
Numerous.
And I think what also is, this spans multiple administrations of attempts. So that's why I don't think anyone's trying to couch the answer. It's just that there has been several attempts over several administrations, because whatever has been proposed in this area eventually needed this crossing, which is why our current road stops and angles, getting ready for this to have a bridge approach and a bridge. So that's how many years and administrations this has been in the works to get this crossing.
Goes back 4 mayors that I'm aware of, if you include me, of just there being, a history here of trying to work on the, on property that way. And again, we respect everybody's, wishes, but given that we're asking the city council for a $10 million bond or an up to $10 million bond, it just wouldn't be right to ask for that, because I think the first question I would ask as a city council person is, can you do the project? And the answer is yes, except this 6,000 square feet. And so that's where I think we need to include the request with the city council for them to have time to consider if they support the project, do they also support going that route if necessary?
Mayor, as a follow-up, just so that we can quantify it, it's about 2,250 feet from the nearest home, center of the lot of the nearest home. So that's 1/4 of a mile away.
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 25-07.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 No.
Oh, and I was going to say all opposed, say no. No problem. We'll count you on that. That gets us to consideration of educational grant for Portage Township Schools.
So on April 15th of this year, the Portage Township Schools submitted an application in response to a request for applications for the Educational and Worker Training Grant Program that has been set aside for this year by the Redevelopment Commission. The amount of the funding budget was $250,000. It's not required that that the Redevelopment Commission award all those dollars. However, there was one application submitted, again by the Portage Township Schools. It is for the proposed project to purchase replacement student devices for students in grades 2 and 8. They have approximately 1,000 students combined in those 2 grades. They are purchasing handheld devices at a cost currently of $400 per device for a total of $400,000. They are requesting $250,000, or about 67.5% of the total cost, from the Redevelopment Commission. If the devices, assuming the grant is approved and devices are received, the application has made the necessary indication that they would prepare the students for use of them. They will include them in their inventory tracking, and all devices would be ready for deployment at the initiation and start of the 2025-2026 school year. In addition, because we are granting funds for educational and worker training purposes, there was a request for how to identify the metrics or measure improvements as a result of the grant. The success will be measured through multiple metrics, including percentage of students with access to functioning personal learning devices, through improvement in students' performance on digital assignments and assessments and grading. This will be led by the IT department, Matt Melton, and the instructional IT technology individual, Tim Pirowski. I want to make sure I got that correct. Again, it is for $250,000. I've reviewed the entire proposal. I would make a recommendation to the commission and the members to approve the request and the application of the Portage Township Schools for a grant of the Educational and Worker Training Application Grant for fiscal year 25-26 school year in the amount of $250,000.
And what part of our budget does this come out of?
It comes out of the allocation fund. So by state statute, the Redevelopment Commission is authorized and permitted as a power to grant entities of an educational or worker training entity to access at the discretion of the commission up to 15% of the tax increment revenue distributed to the Redevelopment Commission. So what we did last year is, upon request, we looked at the distribution of tax increment revenue. We netted out all the anticipated obligations and principal and interest debt that is outstanding. We netted out any projects that were going to be completed this year and determined of that there was a percentage, less than 15%, that was available for potential funding as a grant to an educational worker training entity. So that's where the money comes from. It's from tax increment revenue distributed. It's not from the commission's general fund.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will make a motion to approve the $250,000 requested.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Great. Any other business deemed necessary?
Before you
Yes.
move, I just, on behalf of the Portage Schools, I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you for allowing our students to benefit from this $250,000. I'd also like to state that our superintendent, Dr. Amanda Alanis, is here in attendance, and I know that I speak for her that our students, as I said earlier, are going to benefit, and we look forward to purchasing these for our students. I don't know if our superintendent has anything she'd like to add. She's okay.
Okay, so the process typically, and the way it's set up, is the Portage Township Schools, as approved, would purchase the units, and they would, upon invoice, they would send us a statement or an invoice for the grant funds and for that portion to show that they've already purchased them. So we're reimbursing them for the purchase, not front-loading the money to them.
So again, on behalf of all these students and their families and our staff, thank you.
Thank you so much. And then, Mr. Cherry, do you have something for additional consideration?
I do, I'll make it pretty quick. And for the record, Superintendent and Wilma, I was not educated at Portage Township Schools, so that math is not your fault. So, it was Illinois, so I don't want to reflect poorly on. This is just a courtesy for the, I think in the budget it was approved for the Chamber magazine, I believe. And we have a bill for the summer issue, and it's going to be $4,050 or $4,050. This is for the summer issue. Again, I think we talked about this during budget time. Next year, this is going to be coming out of the individual departments. It just wasn't budgeted for this year, so.
I make a motion to approve $4,050 for the summer issue of the Chamber of Commerce magazine.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 No.
I'll say again, now that we're at the spot, any opposed, please say no. So?
No.
There we go. All right, I believe
Yeah,
that passed.
A bit of old business. A few meetings ago, Chi-Town Signs came to us for the promenade. They were asking for permission to erect a sign on the east corner where the fire department is, Central Avenue, and can't remember the name of that. Commissioner Locke suggested that we move west to the corner of Adam Harding Way and Central, where the existing pillar is right now, and try to incorporate a sign with that pillar. I met with Commissioner Locke on site, and he asked, and we're asking the commission to approve the location and the incorporation of the existing pillar sign, and then we're going to move into Chi-Town designing something. It's going to change a little bit because of that, so, and I will bring that to the commission afterwards. So right now, I'm just looking for a motion to approve that location and the incorporation of that sign, or that pillar, so.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
That's it.
Okay. Any other matters to bring before the board?
One
yes,
other
Mr. Bodie?
very quick matter, there's no action to be taken, but I do want to thank Sonia as the recording secretary, as well as Attorney McClure, on making sure that, if you'll notice on our agenda, the state legislature has required that all agendas include additional information. So on the right-hand side, you will see the identification, as we've always had, the office of each member, but included in that is the appointing entity. And because all appointing entities are for a period of January 1st through December 31st, or a point until individual is qualified and appointed. But that term does end on December 31st of each year, and it does identify the non-voting member as well as her appointment period. So we are in compliance with our agenda. So I wanted to, and I believe that's due July 1st, 2025. And I wanted to thank, again, Attorney McClure and Sonia for taking care of that. So, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Anything else before we close?
Just like to say that there have been a couple events here in our city, musical events, concerts, and I want to thank those individuals that made sure that it ran smoothly. We had thousands of individuals. I attended the first one. I think I was the only 70-year-old there, but we had a great time, and my understanding is that everything went smoothly, not
Great.
only for the first, but the most recent one this past weekend.
It really did, and I can tell you as mayor, I didn't even get any noise complaints, for that from anybody. We have gotten there, it was very well handled. I think that, simply put, we're in the process right now of doing something that, again, a lot of these ideas aren't original. There's things Portage has been working on for years, but one of them, I think, is having a vibrant, active, real downtown. And whether that's filling in more places in the Portage Mall, whether that's new buildings that are in the works, a big part of having a real downtown is it's a place where people come in the middle of the city to have events and in the future to dine and to shop more than they're currently doing now. And sometimes it's funny, people even ask, why do we do the food truck Fridays when we do them? It's all about getting people to build a habit of coming to the downtown and making that our hub. And if there's one thing people in Portage like, it's baseball and music. And we'll see about what happens with baseball, but with the music, we've got that, and we've got it coming in waves, and I think that that's great. And it takes a lot of work on our fire department, our police department, and our planning department, and our parks to make sure that it all goes safe, and to make sure that it's something that people can trust is going to be a good time. And I agree completely. I think that we're hitting it out of the park right now. Anything else to come before the board? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All in favor, please signify by saying, we need a second.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.